Delta, this is Oscar Romeo 4, ISS, 90 loud and clear. Ready to go. Over. I am ready for questions, over. Every view from the cupola is absolutely amazing, whether it be nighttime or daytime, or sort of riding the Terminator, where it's you're in sunshine, but it's dark below, and you really can't make things out. You can see the horizon. It's an amazing place to watch the Earth. Over. Specifically, the amateur radio is sort of an outreach mechanism for us, especially on board now because we have so many other means of communication. But just the understanding and training that goes along with learning to operate the ham radio, the amateur radio systems is just a great wealth of science and helps understand basically how all this works. Over. Right now we've got this Kenwood set up here, but it varies through the years, and they probably have the better information down there than I have up here. So probably better to ask somebody not using it right now. Over. Amazing thing about NBL training, neutral buoyancy lab training for EVAs, is how accurate it really is. It gives you a true tactical feel for the EVA. It doesn't give you the, floating in your suit full strategic view, I'd like to say, but it is absolutely, you can't beat it. It's the best training we do for EVA. Over. It's varied over the time I've been up here over the past 5 months. So right now, I would say my favorite food is sort of this beef patty. It's similar to a hamburger, but there have been some pastas and some fish and a few other things through the past few months, and it's not the same as on Earth. And I have my druthers as to what I want to have on Earth when I first get home. Over. And we do not have an HF station on board the ISS, and I'm not sure we'll ever get one. As I said, we have so many other means of communication right now, and our time is pretty tightly controlled. So really this is a break for us. Over. And no, we actually don't provide visual observations to ground stations. Occasionally, historically, we've provided a few. I was on console as Capcom one night, and the ISS observed the volcanic eruption that nobody was recording up in the Aleutian Islands, and that was the first they heard of it was our phone call up to the Alaska Volcanic Observatory. Over. The biggest advice is to study hard and do well in school, and then after school, fall into a profession. Obviously, in a STEM field gives you better options as far as becoming an astronaut. And do what you love and do well at it. And always look for more opportunities and challenges, and then apply when you have given the opportunity. And even then, it's a roll of the dice, and I feel very fortunate to be here. We have a few options up here. People read and write and take photographs, and there's a few musicians that have passed through here. I know people have done different sorts of projects. Mostly I just kind of like to rest when I have the option. and look out the window and enjoy being in space. Over. And Jack, right now there are hundreds of experiments going on board the International Space Station, many of which we operate in the background. We don't have to interface with very much. Many we also have to interface with as far as changing out samples and maintaining the systems and putting them on. And the other part of that, though, is we're also part of the experiment. The human physiology aspects are measured, so it's continuous, and it crosses all the fields, whether it be biology, material science, and it's just basic research, and it's a national laboratory. Over. I have never had that question before in my life. I really think that's pretty amazing. I don't know where I'd like to go first, but now that you've asked that question, I'll have to think about it. I'm not sure how far I want to go, how much time we have, but I'm sure we'll get there someday. Over. And as I illustrated earlier, there's hundreds of experiments going on board, and specifically we've had some essentially fluid flow experiments that may have impact into medicine delivery. And going on board right now that really deal with sort of the basics of how things work, and obviously our personal experience with our bodies and the experiments, what they learn from how our body behaves in space has already changed the way when you understand our human physiology on Earth. Over. Actually, I'm starting to think this is probably the best, because you all are asking so many great questions that I've never had before, and I really appreciate that. And I'm starting to think this is my favorite one so far. Over. And Trip, it helps a lot to be able to listen when people speak, regardless of what voice they're speaking in or what language they're speaking in. And having that been introduced to several different languages through the years, it's very nice to have those skills. Over. And since QSOs aren't required for logging, I don't. So we just keep track of what we want to on our own up here. And that's an interesting question, though. I know that some people have in the past and kept a highly rigorous score as they came through here, but most of us just like to use it for what we're doing right now. Over. So we are right now using some Nikon cameras, D5s, and that's sort of the standard body we use. There's so many different lenses that we have. 400 millimeter lens is sort of the ideal one for taking as close-up pictures of the Earth. But I really appreciate the sort of 70 to 100 range, just to get that broader view many times. Because there's Google Earth nowadays, and you can get really close-up views. And sometimes just to get that perspective from the space station is what you want. Over. Thankfully, there are no taxes up here with the property that we have on board. I'm not sure whether